Welcome to STEAM in the EFL classroom. In this session, we'll discuss the basics of STEAM and some of its characteristics and objectives. STEAM is an acronym that stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, the later added A for Art and Design, and Math. It's an approach that was developed to improve interplay and integration among scientific disciplines at first, and to encourage and develop scientific skills in students to help them excel at problem solving in the hope of educating future generations to become innovative, independent workers, ready to face local and global challenges, the likes of which we have not yet seen. STEM and STEAM are being included in educational systems all over the world, in countries such as Australia, the UK, the US, New Zealand and India, just to name the top 5 regarding national policies and investment in STEAM programs. But what is it? STEAM can be defined as an integrated, hands-on approach that favors the development of a growth mindset and transferable skills which students will later use in real-life situations. Let's delve a little deeper in some concepts. To be STEAM, it has to be hands-on. It's by doing that students become the center of their own learning and become involved and motivated. This means that if you're willing to include this approach in your lessons, researching, experimenting, building, performing, presenting, etc., will be an important part of your class. Another interesting concept is that of a growth mindset. It has been defined by researcher and Professor Karel Dweck as the attitude, idea, or perception a person has towards their own talents and abilities, and is opposed to the notion of fixed mindsets. People with a growth mindset believe their talents can be improved through practice. Failure is not seen as something permanent, but as an opportunity to learn, a pivot. Critical feedback is not perceived as personal attack, but used to develop new answers, solutions, or systems. There is a tendency in people with a growth mindset to pick more challenging or difficult tasks when given the choice, because of confidence in their own abilities and also a willingness to take more creative risks. The focus of a person with a growth mindset is put on the process or journey as much as it is on the result. Teachers need to tread carefully as STEAM activities require a final product, to place emphasis on the processes students go through, praise their efforts but encourage them to continue trying, pushing their limits, because the final product or the result of an experiment might not be what they expected. With STEAM, students will also put into practice and systematize the development of transferable skills, abilities they take away with them to use outside the classroom in real life, such as collaborative communication and problem-solving skills, all of which will improve their future employability. To be taken from or related to real-life situations or problems is another condition for an activity to be considered STEAM. The good news is that STEAM activities can be fully integrated to language learning contexts. They can be connected and interweaved in your lessons, where you will first teach the language, which will be the tool they'll use to be able to discuss ideas and describe or relate their experiences to others. Later, you can round off topics or units with a STEAM activity where the focus will change from the what, content, to the how, experience. What does all this mean? Does it mean you must know a lot about science and art to include STEAM in your lessons? No, but it is a must that the activities you choose include at least 2 of the disciplines present in the acronym to be considered STEAM. As language teachers, you already deal with lots of topics that can be related to STEAM activities or projects such as numbers, shapes, sizes, distance, colors, plants, animals, the body, buildings, vehicles, the weather, habitats. The list is endless. It's just a question of finding the right activity or experiment to delve a little bit deeper into simple scientific concepts and take the opportunity to work cross-disciplinarily with colleagues. Does it mean that you will need STEAM stations or sophisticated instruments or gadgets to do STEAM? No, it is a flexible approach. It can be done in state-of-the-art labs, using high-tech gadgets, or with simple tools such as magnifying glasses, kitchenware, scissors, screwdrivers, etc. Low-tech tools and simple machines such as wheels and ramps are also technology. So, whether you can use a science lab, robotics equipment, set up a maker space or tinker tubs, or just bring in the materials on the day of the experiment, STEAM can be done. All options are valid. Does it mean that I will need careful planning to integrate the STEAM activities to my language lesson to make the most of them? Well, yes. That's what all good teachers do. According to Wiggins and Mattei, learning is enhanced when teachers think purposefully about curricular planning. Effective curriculum can be planned backward through a three-stage design process: desired results, evidence, learning plan. And all three stages must be aligned not only to standards, but also to one another. Then, we must decide which topics or lessons are more relatable to STEAM activities and projects, and how to include those in an effective way. If you're aiming at student-centered learning, you'll have to move to the side, monitor and guide. And as far as questions are concerned, teachers can help students develop cognitive abilities by asking open-ended questions, making their thinking, their mental processes visible since they are very little, to stimulate them to see the world with the inquisitive eyes of scientists, or children themselves for that matter. Why? How did you realize that? What did you observe that made you come to that conclusion? What do you think would happen if are the kind of questions that stimulate deep reflection and active thinking. To use this approach with consistency and integrity, it might be useful to follow these 6 steps to creating a STEAM-centered classroom, no matter what area you teach. The first one is focus. In this step, we are selecting an essential question to answer or problem to solve. It's important to have a clear focus on how this question or problem relates to the STEM and the arts content areas you've chosen. The second one is detail. During the detail phase, you're looking for the elements that are contributing to the problem or question. When you're observing the correlations to other areas or why the problem exists, you begin to unearth a lot of key background information, skills or processes that students already have to address the question. Step 3 is discovery. Discovery is all about active research and intentional teaching. In this step, students are researching current solutions as well as what isn't working based on the solutions that already exist. As a teacher, you can use this stage to both analyze the gaps your students may have in a skill or process, or to teach those skills or processes explicitly. Step 4 is application. This is where the fun happens. After students have dived deep into a problem or question and have analyzed current solutions as well as what still needs to be addressed, they can begin to create their own solution or composition to the problem. This is where they use the skills, processes, and knowledge they were taught in the discovery stage and put them to work. Step 5 is presentation. Once students have created their solution or composition, it's time to share it. It's important that the work is presented for feedback and as a way for expression based on a student's own perspective surrounding the question or problem at hand. This is also an important opportunity to facilitate feedback and help students learn how to give and receive input. Step 6 is link. This step is what closes the loop. Students have a chance to reflect on the feedback that was shared and on their own process and skills. Based on that reflection, students are able to revise their work as needed and to produce an even better solution. STEAM activities are usually triggered by challenges or questions teachers pose. A single challenge can be set for the whole class. Here is a list of examples taken from the Pearson Experiences Pocket Guide to STEAM by Sarah Hilliard. Or you can give them choice boards with several challenges to complete from. These models can be adapted to make them topic related. They can have more or fewer grids, etc. As we have already mentioned, STEAM activities can also be prompted through a question. In this case, included in a visual choice board for younger students. So, why use STEAM? Because challenges, problems, or questions you pose will engage students in all or at least some of these processes according to the activity you choose. Predicting, planning and researching, experimenting, exploring and building, drawing conclusions, or describing the results. And it is very relevant to systematize these to help students fall into certain patterns of thinking or habits of mind or behaviors that they can fall back on when they need to solve problems in real life. It's important too that they can visualize the steps they have to follow. To help them do that, they can be aided by recording or assessment sheets, where they can annotate their findings, write or draw their predictions, and contrast them with the results. These sheets can also include self-assessment questions. These examples were taken from the Pearson Experiences website, but you can create your own. Young learners who might not be proficient writers can draw their plan or result and just write a few words about it, such as a list of materials or simple sentences explaining what it is. For older students, this recording sheet includes a blueprint area where labeling is very important and some questions to help them describe and reflect. For science exploration activities, giving them space to draw or write their prediction and the result is key. For more proficient writers, a space to describe the process would be useful. The last example includes much more space for details and description, and it also includes self-assessment questions. To round off, it would be useful to list some of the pedagogical implications derived of challenging students with problems or questions from the real world. In researching for relevant info, students would be exploring, discovering, and using their creativity to find possible solutions. If set as a group activity, they would be exercising collaboration, discussion, and negotiation, problem finding and problem solving skills, which would in turn enhance participation. Critical thinking would be put to the test in discerning between different opinions and the information available. If experiments or tasks prove to be challenging or they take more time than it was expected, they would be training their tolerance to frustration and, in the long run, their resilience. When they eventually succeed in completing the assignment, even if it is a simple activity, they might experience a sense of self-efficacy that builds up self-esteem. Experimenting allows students the possibility to be wrong, to make mistakes, and safely try again. So the treatment of errors and failure is key. They need to be seen as stepping stones from which to move, learn, and grow. If you decide to try this approach in your EFL classroom, here are some links you might find useful, containing information, ideas, and ready-made lessons. Thank you.